What is colder than death? The answer is betrayal. And the place that holds it lies beneath the thickest ice in the universe. When we think of hell, most of us imagine a realm of blazing fire, screams, chains, and souls being burned alive in eternal wrath. That image has been etched deeply into Western culture for thousands of years, from the Bible to Hollywood films. But there is an older story, a deeper, darker one, a vision in which hell is not fire, but a frozen lake so cold it can kill even the soul. In the Divine Comedy, the poet Dante Alighieri describes hell not as a fiery pit, but as a massive funnel plunging deep into the earth, divided into 9 descending circles. And in the lowest, the deepest circle, reserved for the most wicked of sins, fire does not exist. Instead, there is cocytus, a still, frozen sea that seals shut all souls of betrayal. At the very center of cocytus, Dante does not place Satan as a ruling overlord, but as a helpless being, trapped in ice, immobilized, caught within his own act of betrayal. This forces us to ask, was Dante merely telling a religious allegory? Or did he accidentally brush against a fragment of ancient memory? A truth long sealed away in the collective subconscious of humankind, because there was once an ancient civilization, spoken of in Sumerian mythology, that recorded tales of exile, of betrayal among gods, and of places eternally sealed beneath the earth or beyond the stars. They called those gods the Anunnaki. So what if the deepest level of hell is not fantasy, but a dimension sealed away since the time of the Anunnaki? Then who are the souls imprisoned there? And why does humanity still remember it? Through poetry, religion, and dreams. In this journey, we will uncover not only Dante, but the erased memory of mankind itself. Beginning at the 9th circle of hell, if Dante's hell was designed to punish fallen souls, then its deepest level, cocytus, is a realm reserved for those who have destroyed the most sacred bond of humanity, loyalty. What makes cocytus unique is not only that it lies at the bottom of hell, but that it bears no resemblance to any image we've ever imagined. There is no fire, no demon king wielding a whip, only a vast, motionless ocean of ice, where every betrayal becomes eternal isolation. Dante divided cocytus into 4 regions, each symbolizing a type of betrayal, increasing in gravity. This structure is not just a logical organization, it is an esoteric symbol. Humanity can betray not only those closest to them, but also the very soul of the universe. Cana. Betrayal of family. This region is named after Cain, the first figure in the Bible to murder his own brother. The souls here have betrayed blood, kin, and caused suffering within their own families. To Dante, nothing is more cruel than breaking the sacred bond of blood. The souls in Cana are buried up to their necks in ice, their heads bent downward, unable to speak or see. They are not burned, they are abandoned, frozen to the point of vanishing from the universe's memory. Some esoteric scholars suggest that Cana represents a severance from ancestral DNA, from the bloodlines of origin. From an Anunnaki perspective, this could symbolize the hybrid bloodlines, the Nephilim, or the descendants of Enki that were purged from history by the gods themselves. Antenora, betrayal of country. Named after Antenor, the Trojan figure believed to have betrayed the city to the Greeks. Dante uses this name to define those who betrayed their homeland. In Antenora, souls are buried deeper. Only their heads emerge from the ice. Their eyes remain wide open, unable to close, forced to eternally witness their own treachery. Some here are infamous and terrifying, such as Bocca degli Abati, who betrayed the Florentine army during battle. According to Anunnaki lore, betraying one's nation was not just political treason, it was defying the divine territorial order. In ancient times, each land was ruled by a guardian deity, such as Enlil over Akkad. Betraying the nation meant betraying the god who ruled it. The punishment, exile, erasure from written records, and sometimes to be frozen out of history itself. Ptolemia, betrayal of guests, named after Ptolemy, governor of Jericho, who invited relatives to a feast and murdered them. A betrayal of trust and hospitality. Ptolemia punishes those who betray their guests, people they once welcomed into their homes. In this region, the punishment becomes surreal. Some of the condemned are still alive in the physical world, yet their souls have already fallen to hell. Their bodies on earth are occupied by evil spirits, while their true souls are trapped eternally in ice. This detail introduces a crucial concept, the multi-dimensional self. Ancient Sumerian texts speak of the biological being remotely controlled through ME, soul programming codes understood only by the Anunnaki. Are the souls in Ptolemia examples of bodies still walking the earth, while their true essence has been eternally judged? Judaica, betrayal of the divine, the lowest, coldest, and most terrifying region, reserved for those who betrayed the Supreme Being. Its name derives from Judas Iscariot, who sold Jesus for 30 silver coins. Souls in Judaica are completely frozen. They cannot speak, cannot see, cannot remember. They have no human shape. They are contorted and shattered by the absolute cold, like a nervous system severed from consciousness. They no longer exist. They are programmed to be nothing. At the very center of Judaica, in the heart of Cocytus, lies Satan, frozen up to the chest, with 3 faces devouring the 3 greatest traitors in history: Judas, Brutus, and Cassius. No fire, no dominion, only cold, isolation, and helplessness. Some scholars speculate that Dante's image of Satan is not the traditional devil, but a powerful being punished for defying the decree of a divine council, echoing the story of Enki, who helped humans survive the Great Flood and was exiled for it. In the lost book of Enki, he is condemned for revealing forbidden knowledge to mankind. After the flood, he is stripped of his power and vanishes. So was Dante, whether subconsciously or through hidden tradition, retelling another version of the creator of mankind frozen in the darkness of the cosmos. Cocytus, not just punishment, but a vault of erased memory. Cocytus is more than a place of punishment. It is a repository for erased memories, a vault of soul structures severed from their source. If Dante accessed the ancient human subconscious through meditation or dreams, perhaps he glimpsed a non-physical prison system, a dimension between reality and memory, where the souls of traitors are eternally sealed. Why ice and not fire? This is one of the deepest questions of the ninth circle. Fire burns, but ice preserves. Ice freezes time. It is the embodiment of the complete negation of movement, emotion, evolution. In ancient civilizations, ice was more than just a physical element. It was spiritual code, the disconnection of the soul from the body. Egyptian and Sumerian myths alike speak of the zone without time, a realm where souls cannot reincarnate, cannot communicate, cannot escape. A spiritual glacial void. Cocytus is precisely that. If fire is punishment, then ice is judgment. Deep beneath the floor of Judaica, the final region of cocytus, the very center of hell, as described by Dante, we encounter a strange image. Satan, trapped in ice, unable to move, bearing 3 faces and 6 bat-like wings. The curious thing is this: Satan is not portrayed as the ruler of hell, as popular culture often suggests, but rather as its most completely imprisoned being. This becomes the pivotal point that leads us to a profound question. Is this cold, silent figure of Satan truly the evil being of religious doctrine? Or is it a symbol of another kind of entity, one punished for giving knowledge to humanity? From a symbolic perspective, Satan's punishment reflects the severity of the ultimate betrayal, defiance of the divine. But when seen through the lens of Sumerian mythology and the Anunnaki theory, a compelling parallel emerges. This image closely resembles Enki, the god of wisdom and creation, who was removed from power for daring to share knowledge with mankind. Enki was the one who shaped humanity from clay and Anunnaki genes. He was the bringer of the Moi, the tablets of destiny, containing the codes of cosmic knowledge. His actions brought him into direct conflict with Enlil, the god of control and divine order. The punishment Dante describes, Satan frozen, gnawing 3 traitors with his 3 faces, is a multi-layered symbol. The 3 faces may represent the triad of intelligence, creation, perception, and analysis. 3 faculties embodied by Enki himself, split and frozen. The faces seem severed from full consciousness, unable to unify. A reminder of a sealed Enki, whose faculties have been fragmented and bound, no longer posing a threat to the supreme power structure. Why ice, not fire? Because ice is the symbol of disconnection, of isolation. Unlike fire, which burns and purifies, ice preserves in stasis, unable to transmit, unable to evolve. In Gnostic traditions and certain ancient mystical texts, there exists the concept of a frozen zone, a realm where souls are cut off from reincarnation and the cosmic network, unable to communicate, suspended outside the cycle of rebirth. Satan frozen in Judaica may well be an encoded vision of an existence stripped of connection, severed from the grid of cosmic knowledge. Just as Enki was, following the Great Flood, Dante's depiction of Satan as a prisoner, not a sovereign, might be a deep, unconscious access into the ancient memory layers of humanity, where mythic symbols and historical truths are buried and re-encoded through religious language. Perhaps Dante, through a state of heightened unconsciousness or soul attunement, tapped into the collective consciousness, where the memory of a war among ancient gods is still preserved, one in which a creator god was cast down, not out of malice, but for crossing the threshold of the forbidden. The three faces also point us toward a hypothesis of multidimensional consciousness, in which a higher being exists simultaneously across several layers of existence. The notion that Enki was fragmented and imprisoned across three dimensions is a frequent metaphor in ancient texts. One part of the soul sealed within the earth, one confined in a celestial body, the last one infused into the human gene stream, Satan's three jaws gnawing Judas, Brutus and Cassius, could thus be seen as symbolic of the three betrayals Enki experienced. Betrayal of his own kind, Anunnaki; betrayal of the supreme authority, Enlil; betrayal of destiny by sharing the ME with humanity. If Satan is Enki, then who are the three traitors? Judas; betrayal of the divine. Brutus and Cassius; betrayal of Caesar, a symbol of political and structural order. All three are punished by the original traitor, possibly symbolizing Enki witnessing in mankind the same act of betrayal he once committed against the divine council. A reflection, a recursion. Here, Judaica is no longer a remote layer of hell. It is a repository of soul essences, a vault where what is deemed unfit for the next cycle of evolution is sealed away. Dante, through the frozen figure of Satan, may be hinting that there are forms of knowledge that have been intentionally locked away, not because they are evil, but because they challenge the old structure of divine control. And perhaps the most striking idea of all, if Dante's Satan is truly Enki, then this punishment is not for a crime of evil, but the sentence given to a bringer of light, a Prometheus of the East, not bound to a rock, but sealed in ice, so the light he carried could no longer spread. In the next part, we will expand on this theme as we confront deeper questions. The return of the ancient gods, the mystery of planet Nibiru, and whether Dante's hell was truly an allegory for a soul containment system, a multidimensional construct that governs humanity's memory, spirit, and perception. At the end of their journey through the 9 circles of hell, Dante and Virgil do not ascend through a visible escape route. Instead, they descend even deeper, passing through the very center of the earth to emerge on the other side of the world. This carries a profound metaphor. To understand and transcend hell, one must not resist it, but pierce through its very nature, as if the journey of decoding darkness leads into another dimension altogether. It is a notion that echoes the return of the ancient gods, beings once exiled and buried deep within the layers of space, time, and human memory. According to Sumerian mythology, Nibiru, the 12th planet of the solar system, is the origin or dwelling place of the Anunnaki. Many theories suggest that Nibiru follows an extremely long orbit, taking thousands of years to return near Earth. And each time it does, it brings about vast transformations, biological, geological, and societal. Some believe that Nibiru's next return will signal a great awakening, an event in which ancient genetic codes within humanity will be reactivated. So what happens when Nibiru returns? If Enki, or beings like him, were once exiled into frozen zones, sealed symbolically in the form of Dante's Satan, then the reappearance of Nibiru may open an energy gateway, allowing such entities to manifest again. But this is not merely about extraterrestrial arrival. It may signify the reactivation of long-buried knowledge frequencies. Across many ancient cultures, there are prophecies of a final war between the gods, often called Armageddon. In the Book of Revelation, Armageddon is a clash between light and darkness, between heaven and rebellion. Viewed through the Anunnaki paradigm, it could represent a cosmic conflict between two factions of gods, one that seeks to control humanity as a tool, the other that desires to empower humanity with autonomy and knowledge. Once again, Enki and Enlil stand opposed. Armageddon, in the Anunnaki vision, is not necessarily a physical war. It is a war of consciousness, of cosmic ideologies. One side upholds the cycle of control, reincarnation, and memory erasure. The other seeks to activate the enki, opening access for humanity to reconnect with its true being. This battle does not occur outside. It unfolds within the mind of each individual. The return of Nibiru is not a planet streaking across the sky. It is a vibrational frequency that suddenly alters everything. In this light, Dante's hell is no longer a realm of death, but a tiered programming system designed to keep human consciousness locked in a confined state. The deepest level, where Satan is sealed, is the most forbidden zone, the vault that contains the key to awakening. The arrival of Nibiru, or the reactivation of Anunnaki genetic lines in modern human bodies, may serve as the leverage to break that structure, not through violence, but through collective realization. Some modern esoteric researchers point to phenomena such as DNA awakening, prophetic dreams, and the feeling of familiarity with places never visited as signs that the ancient enki codes are slowly beginning to decode themselves. As Nibiru draws near, or as Earth's energetic field shifts, these programs may begin to activate across humanity. Not everyone will perceive it. Only those who have already traversed their own inner hell. So, where are we in this process? If Dante was right, that to escape hell, one must pass through its center, then humanity now approaches the moment of confronting the sealed core within its unconscious mind. And in that moment, the return of the ancient gods is no longer fiction. It becomes the unpacking of the original memory. Nibiru may not be a planet sailing through the stars. It may be a dimensional frequency. And when we reach it, we may finally see the truth, that Satan, or Enki, was never the enemy, but the one who planted the seed of light in the soil of darkness. As the prophecies of the return of the ancient gods echo across millennia, a larger question begins to emerge. If cosmic knowledge was once gifted to humanity by a god like Enki, then what happened that caused us to lose access to it? And who is holding it now? This chapter delves into a rarely discussed reality, that there exists a system, both material and immaterial, designed to prevent humanity from accessing higher planes of knowledge, established from the post-Anunnaki era to the present day. According to some esoteric theories, following the divine rebellion, the victorious faction, represented by Enlil, established a control mechanism not only over Earth, but within the very structure of human consciousness. The sealing of the Emi tablets, which contained divine formulas for life, universal mechanics, and the cycles of evolution, marked the beginning of an age of intentional forgetting. Religious, moral, and political systems gradually replaced original structures of knowledge, aiming to distract the soul from its true origin. Organizations such as the Freemasons, Illuminati, or various European bloodline dynasties are often thought to be the custodians of this knowledge, keepers, but not sharers. This is not necessarily born of malicious conspiracy, but rather a preservation of knowledge within a pyramidal structure of control. Ancient rites passed through secret societies may, in fact, be distorted remnants of Anunnaki ceremonies, each step designed to tune consciousness and re-establish the neural link to universal energy layers. Throughout global mythology, a repeating pattern emerges. Giants, gatekeepers of the heavens, fallen gods, exiled messengers, all allude to a class of beings that once interacted with humanity, then were sealed away or cast out. If these beings were part of the Anunnaki system, perhaps they, or their descendants, became the guardians of knowledge. So why haven't they given it back? The answer may lie in universal law, the principle of non-intervention unless invited. This means humanity must seek and unlock knowledge voluntarily. No one can force awakening. Only when the soul vibrates at the correct frequency, the ME will activate on its own. In this concept, hell is not a place of damnation, but a sealed energy field, a space where the resonance is too low for knowledge to flow. The circles of hell in the Divine Comedy may be metaphors for levels of consciousness out of phase with the original source of knowledge. So who is blocking it? It may not be one specific being, but a collective amalgam of entities, institutions, and thought models constructed over thousands of years. Education has been distorted, religion anthropomorphized, science severed from spirit. This isn't necessarily the plan of a singular dark force, but rather the cumulative effect of generations disconnected from the source. Yet within the darkness, there have always been bearers of fire, from Prometheus to Hermes Trismegistus, from Zoroaster to the Templar Knights, from medieval alchemists to modern mystics. All are manifestations of Enki's lineage, souls encoded to remember, remind, and pass on. Even in the face of persecution and distortion, the hidden knowledge goes far beyond energy, technology, or astronomy. It's about the very structure of the soul, how perception creates reality, how frequency shapes matter, how a human can be both observer and creator. If made widely known, this understanding would collapse the entire control system built on fear, fragmentation, and external authority. One clear example is the chakra system within the human body, a biological map of the ME, which is dismissed by modern medicine and only survives in so-called spiritual cultures. Yet this system is the gateway that connects individual consciousness to the universal field. The very thing the Anunnaki once activated at humanity's genesis. But this reconnection is not just theoretical. It demands active participation, decoding symbols, sharpening intuition, observing dreams, Training the spirit. Once the soul exceeds the lock to a threshold of vibration, it can access layers of remembrance without any physical tools. This is what the controlling energy lines fear most. A humanity no longer manipulated by fear, no longer misled by information, but acting from inner knowing. And in the end, you, the viewer, are part of this journey. You are not merely watching Dante pass through hell or reading about the sealed Anunnaki. You stand at the threshold of your own Judaica, where the soul is frozen beneath layers of belief, experience, and wounding. The fact that you are reading these words may be the sign that your inner me is beginning to glow. And if that's true, then the next part is no longer a story about gods, but the first chapter of your path to becoming one of them. After asking the question of lost knowledge and who is guarding it, a natural next step arises. If the Anunnaki once existed, if they truly created humanity or at least altered its genetic blueprint, then do their descendants still walk among us? And if they do, how can we recognize them in this fragmented, chaotic modern world? The Anunnaki bloodline, according to many theories, is not merely a biological inheritance, but a form of energetic encoding, a kind of soul frequency that carries ancient memory. Myths and apocalyptic scriptures often refer to the chosen ones, the lineage of the gods, or those who carry ancient remembrance. Symbols such as crowns, the third eye, serpents, or the double helix of DNA are sometimes used to signify those who carry part of this primordial source code. However, contrary to common assumptions, Anunnaki descendants are not necessarily wealthy elites or royal bloodlines. In fact, many are born into adversity, feeling misplaced in the world, carrying a deep sense of not belonging anywhere. This is one of the most common signs, a feeling of alienation from this reality, as if their soul has once existed in another realm, carrying a mission not yet fully awakened. Another identifying trait is heightened empathy, strong intuition, an ability to see symbolic layers in life, and a natural tendency toward deep self-inquiry. These individuals are often drawn to ancient history, unresolved mysteries, astronomy, spirituality, and especially the truth behind systems of power. They question what they're taught. They're not easily molded by predefined systems. In many cases, they may carry a unique genetic profile, such as the Rh-negative blood type, which is extremely rare and lacks a clear evolutionary origin. Some studies suggest that Rh-negative individuals show genetic anomalies, atypical brainwave activity, or cognitive phenomena that extend beyond conventional science. But the key is not physical DNA. It is vibrational frequency. Many mystics believe that the divine bloodline is actually a manifestation of a soul that has reconnected to its inner me, the embedded knowledge tablet. This soul can access higher realms of information without needing external study. It remembers through resonance, not reasoning. Such individuals often awaken through profound life shocks, illness, loss, near-death experiences, or recurring dreams of a lost ancient world. As stated in the previous section, the return of Nibiru is not merely an astronomical event, but a consciousness phenomenon. a cycle of divine genetic reactivation. When this planet draws near, it may shift the Earth's magnetic and vibrational fields, triggering transformations in human energy systems. Those who carry the Anunnaki code may feel this shift more intensely, experiencing emotional turmoil, or conversely, a powerful spiritual awakening. This may explain why so many people today are undergoing spiritual awakenings that resemble illness, yet defy medical explanation. The Anunnaki bloodline may also be traced through the cultural artifacts left behind. Symbols like the tree of life, winged discs, the crescent moon and star, or Sumerian cuneiform persist in architecture, religions, and family crests for thousands of years. Some sacred structures, built with golden ratio proportions and astronomical alignments, could only have been constructed with knowledge or guidance beyond the capabilities of those ancient civilizations. Evidence of intervention or instruction from higher beings. And there is one more essential trait: the compulsion to share knowledge. Those of Anunnaki descent often feel a deep urge to teach, to guide, to illuminate. Even if they are not formal educators, they are natural awakeners. Even if they are not scientists, they ask questions that shake the pillars of modern systems. They don't do this for fame or power. They do it because of a calling from within, an ancient oath that when the time comes, they will awaken the rest. Ironically, these very individuals are often labeled as delusional, deviant, or dangerous to the established order. They are the burned ones of history, from Galileo to Hypatia, from medieval witches to 20th century mystics, not because they were wrong, but because they dared to question the systems that fear being questioned. Yet the Anunnaki bloodline cannot be extinguished. It can only sleep until it's reactivated. And that day draws near. As more and more people turn inward instead of outward, as collective dreams begin to reveal ancient temples, distant celestial bodies, and sounds that do not belong to this world. So how do you know if you're part of that legacy? There is no blood test to prove it. Only your soul knows. And if you've ever felt different, if you've ever dreamed in a language you never learned, if you've ever looked at the sky and felt you had once lived there, then perhaps you are not merely reading about the Anunnaki, you are remembering yourself. After traveling a long road, from the image of Satan frozen in the deepest layer of Dante's Inferno, to the symbols of Enki, Nibiru, the Emmy, and the hidden Anunnaki bloodlines within humanity, we seem to be standing at a threshold. This story is no longer just about what happened in the distant past. It is about a sequence of codes now unfolding in the present. And the final question is no longer what happened, but rather, what will we do with it? Awakening is not a mystical anomaly, nor is it a privilege reserved for the few. It is the natural outcome of a soul reaching its next evolutionary phase. Just as a seed cannot sprout without light, water, and time, human consciousness can only open when touched by the right frequency, even for a fleeting moment. And these moments are now occurring more frequently in our world of confusion and fragmentation. Amidst crisis, disorientation, war, climate disruption, and a collapse of belief systems. In this context, the resurgence of collective memory about the Anunnaki is not nostalgia for gods. It is the soul's call, asking us to re-examine the entire history of humanity through a new light. to understand that the circles of hell in the Divine Comedy were never beneath the ground, but within our consciousness. Each circle is a form of confusion, greed, deceit, betrayal, fear, forgetfulness. And the frozen Satan, perhaps, is the brightest part of ourselves, sealed away by our betrayal of our own truth. If the ancient gods once embedded knowledge into our DNA, then this moment may be the harvest. And that harvest requires no weapons, no spacecraft, no metaphysical tools. It requires a decision. Are you ready to remember? Collective awakening begins with a single individual bold enough to ask, "Who am I really?" without accepting a rehearsed answer. When one person remembers, their frequency ripples outward, affecting others. A domino effect, silent but irreversible. The final call of humanity does not arrive via television screens, nor is it printed in textbooks. It resonates through dreams, through a vague unease while staring at the sky, through that hollow feeling in a crowd. That is when the Emmy within you knocks. It asks, "Do you remember?" And if the answer is yes, you are not alone. There are millions of other souls stirring with the same remembrance. An invisible community, without nationality, without religion, without ideology, connected only by one frequency, the frequency of truth. When these souls connect, even with just a glance, a word, a scribbled symbol in a notebook, the Emmy network will begin to glow. Each person is a neural node in Gaia's planetary brain. And when enough nodes light up, Earth itself, as a living being, will awaken. That may be the moment Nibiru returns. Not necessarily as a planet, but as a synchronistic phenomenon, the resonance of millions who carry the Anunnaki heritage, remembering all at once that they were once the keepers of knowledge. Then, hell will no longer be a place of punishment, but the stage for a great rebirth. And you, the one reading these final lines, may be among the first to hear that call. Do not be silent. Do not doubt. Trust the deep vibration within you, where the ancient Ami tablets have never vanished, only waited for you to unlock them. This is not an ending. It is a beginning of a new humanity, of a reunion between mankind and the stars.